right, believe it or not, there are 2 or 3 people that are interested in the Jeep stuff, so I'm going to do a little Jeep update because that's what I'm obsessed with this week. I just did these rear spring spacers. On the bottom of the spring, you can see the big old Daystar plastic puck right there. 3/4 inch spacer. Also, it's a better isolator. The factory just had this little piece of rubber wrapped around the bottom of the spring. That might quiet it up some. Those back springs are really nice. They're very, very multi-rate springs. I like the springs on it. One thing you gotta check when you put the springs on is make sure the little thing's poking up right there. You see that little guy poking up? That means you got your top perch lined up. That's an important thing to check. If that's not lined up right, your spring can get all wonky on you and stuff. So this one is also lined up. You see it poking through? Okay, that's good. So that's got the spring spacers in the back with the factory Rubicon springs, or excuse me, factory max toe springs and Rubicon shocks, which are the same length as the stock shocks, by the way. The front's got the Rubicon springs and shocks. Now this is a point of contention. Depending if you had a launch edition or maybe what bumper you had, or if you had a hard top or soft top, there's 2 different spring packages that come on the Rubicon, and it's really hard to tell which one goes on which side. So you can look at your tag here, and did a bunch of research, and I also measured them and stuff. As I said in my video, the 3.9 goes on the driver's side on my truck, and then the one that ends in 4.0 goes on the passenger side. Okay, let's see if you can see the tag. There you go, 4.0 AC. Okay, but the funny thing is that 4.0 spring on some other Gladiator Rubicons goes on the driver's side, and there's like a 4.3 spring that goes on this side. So the easiest way to remember it is the larger number goes on the tall side, which is the passenger side, because the fuel tank's on the passenger side, so that keeps the truck level. I tried swapping them back and forth. My truck ended up having a 1/4 inch of lean if I had them backwards. Right now it's perfectly level. Maybe not right now because the wheels are turned and I just jacked it up and stuff. So that's a good update. The other thing, these tires, I got them balanced by Pep Boys. They did a terrible job. Not gonna go back there. I'm gonna go somewhere else, and hopefully someone knows how to balance tires. I checked them, they're all very true. They don't have a bunch of run out or anything like that. They're just not balanced right at all. They're actually balanced worse than when they had no wheel weights when I mounted them by hand. So thanks, Pep Boys. So that's pretty terrible. So I'm gonna get them balanced at Goodyear or something, some other shop soon, hopefully. These floorboards worked out really nice. A beer got knocked over in here last night, and this floor mat caught the entire beer, and then I was able to pull this plug out, and the beer drained right out of the car down there. And that's excellent. So I got all that cleaned up. You know, we're at Paul, obviously. And it did really well, rode pretty smooth. I did order the longer travel Fox 2.0s for the front. Just because like I don't like feeling the bottom of the shock when it's limiting travel. So the Fox 2.0s for the 0 to 1.5 inch lift give you about 2 inches more front travel. So I ordered those, and I got the spring spacers adjusted, or the bump stop spacers adjusted accordingly. You see my bump stop spacer in there, the big aluminum thing. That's a seal driver for a Harbor Freight seal driver kit with a washer underneath it to get to the right height. That is an excellent bump stop perch spacer, and it's cheaper than buying the kit. It's just a bolt and nut, boom, done. The back bump stops are fine. They're factory locations with the 3/4 inch Daystar spacer, in my opinion. I've went and flexed it out and stuff. The coils, you know, the top coils do go coil bound because that's how that spring's designed, but the other coils look fine. So it's not going completely coil bound. So the bump stop's still being effective. What other updates? Oh, I'm trying to figure out if this, so we know this thing has brake lock distribution, where it uses the brakes as limited slip, right? When it starts to slip, it applies the brakes, sends the power to the other side. That's got more traction, which is brilliant. A-Track has it. That CRV probably has it. Every car has it, but brakes, but different tuning of it, right? Can you make it more or less aggressive? These newer Jeeps have really, really good brake limited slip. The older Jeeps, it was pretty much useless. There's some good comparison videos on the internet, side by side, different models of Jeeps and stuff. It's pretty impressive on this thing, and it's so good I didn't get the Rubicon. I gotta save myself some money to rely on that. This one does have a limited slip in the back, and we're not sure what kind of limited slip that is. If you know, comment below. I think it's probably a clutch type. But we're trying to figure out is if it has turn assisted braking, meaning like differential steering, like, you know, with the tractor, the Kubota over there, when you hit the brake on the inside wheel and you're turning, it'll help the car pivot in low range. So that's what the 200 series Land Cruiser does. We're hoping this does it. The manual says when you're in full low, you have wheel slip brake lock distribution, which sounds a lot like locking up the inside wheel to kind of drag it to help it pivot around that inside wheel to help your turning radius in full low. I jacked it up off the ground, had all 4 wheels turning. turned the wheel left and right, wasn't able to simulate it. It's not a great test because you know, the wheels are all traveling at the same speed. If you started to turn, your outside wheels would accelerate, your front would be on a longer arc, etc. So if anyone has any information on that, that'd be great. I'm having a really hard time finding it because Jeep forums are full of the scum of the earth. No, there's not a whole lot of good information. It's a bunch of opinions. No one bothers fact checking anything. They just tell you, oh yeah, I heard this, and then they'll state it as a fact. So cite your sources, people. But that's the next thing I'm investigating. But I did figure out the spring mystery. And like I said, the next thing I'm gonna do is those longer travel 2.0 Foxes in the front. I'll probably eventually do them in the rear. Right now, the rear sway bar is really limiting it. When you get to full down travel, that sway bar is a pretty big limiting factor, and the bushings and stuff. So I'm not sure the rear would really benefit from it a whole lot. The front definitely can. When you disconnect that front sway bar, the front end really wants to flex. So we'll put it in the front first and see how it does. Also, I'm not getting sway bar disconnects because it takes all of 5 minutes to remove the sway bar bolts and tuck the sway bar up out of the way with a zip tie. I'd rather remove that bolt than mess with an aftermarket type sway bar disconnect that might have extra play in it and stuff. I like just remove the bolt, bring the lesser grip pack. I keep it in here anyways, pull the top and doors off, zip those 18s off, sway bar out of the way, and the front end flexes to infinity. I got the bump stop set just so that with these 34s or whatever they are, a little shy of 34, the tire just barely kisses the fender liner when you have it fully maxed out and turning fully. So perfect setup, really maximizing the travel. I don't think I need Rubicon fenders. It would be nice in the front, but it's not necessary. The back 100% doesn't need them. The back tucks all the way up to the bump stop and all the way to max down travel.